I gave my father's medal to his old driver. My dad died in October, and honestly the medal was the only thing anybody in my family seemed to actually care about. Not the house, not his truck, the medal. He earned it overseas back in '71, some ceremony with a general and everything, and my whole life it sat in a glass case in the front hallway like a little shrine. People would come over and he'd point at it and go real quiet and humble, and everybody would nod like they were standing in a church. Dale, my older brother, started in on it before the funeral was even over. He was standing by the casserole table with a paper plate, and he goes, "So who's taking the case? Because I've got the wall for it. Kids should grow up seeing that." I told him I didn't know, we'd figure it out later. My mom overheard and said, "It stays in the family, that's all that matters," and she looked right at me when she said it because I was the one with the house key. I was the one who'd been there at the end. There was this old man at the funeral nobody talked to. He sat in the back in a suit that was too big for him, and he cried harder than any of us. I recognized him. Earl. He used to drive for my dad, drove him around for probably 30 years, first overseas and then after when Dad ran the lumber yard. Earl would pull up in the mornings and they'd sit in the truck talking before Dad even came inside. As kids, we thought it was funny, this old white man and his driver who was basically his best friend. Nobody invited Earl to the meal after. I watched him get in his car alone, so I went out and caught him before he pulled off. "You should come eat," I said. He shook his head. "Your family don't want me at that table, son. It's all right. I just came to say goodbye to him." Here's the thing. 3 weeks before Dad died, when it was just me and him and the machines beeping, he grabbed my wrist. He was barely talking by then, and he said, "The medal's not mine. You hear me? It was never mine." I figured it was the morphine. I told him to rest, but he kept squeezing. Earl went back in. Earl pulled them out. I just stood there. They pinned it on me because I was the officer and he wasn't. Then he started crying and he said I kept him close so I wouldn't forget what I owed him. And I never once said it out loud. I was a coward twice. I didn't tell anybody. I sat with it for a month. So at the house, after everybody left, Dale came back for the case. He walked in like he already owned it, went straight to the hallway. "I'll just take it now, save a trip." I told him it wasn't his to take. He laughed. "And it's yours? You always thought you were his favorite." "It's not mine either," I said. I'd already called Earl that morning. He was sitting in my kitchen when Dale started yelling. I took the medal out of the case, walked over and put it in Earl's hands. His fingers closed around it and he made this sound I've never heard a grown man make. Dale lost it. "Are you out of your mind? That's Dad's. That's ours. You're handing it to the help?" My mom came in from the porch. "What is going on? Why does he have your father's medal?" "Because it was his," I said. "Dad told me before he died. Earl earned it. Dad just wore it." "That's a lie," Dale said. "Dad never said one word about that in 50 years. "Yeah," I said. "That was the part he was ashamed of." Earl was shaking his head, trying to hand it back. "I don't need this to know what I did," he said. "Your daddy carried it so I wouldn't have to. That was his way." "He carried the wrong thing," I said. "You take it." My mom said if I gave away a family heirloom, I could forget about the rest of the estate, forget about her, all of it. Dale said he'd never speak to me again, and he meant it like it had hurt. I walked Earl out to his car. He held the medal in both hands the whole way like it might fly off. Before he got in, he looked at me and said, "53 years I waited to hold that. I'd about given up." I told him he shouldn't have had to wait a day.